Hello, good morning, good morning to you. Hello, everybody. My name is RODGON. I'm an artist, I'm a teacher, a designer, a mentor, and lucky for you guys today, I am in a teaching mood. So, how about we draw profiles today? How about we learn everything about profiles? We just focus on profiles and we do profiles and we learn how to draw profile shapes for you guys properly. Okay, so what we're gonna focus today is because this seems to be something really hard for people. And I'm doing this for our mod Wes. So we're gonna be waiting until Wes gets here, and then Wes is having issues a little bit with his profiles. So he helps me with a lot. So I'm going to do my best to try to help him with what he needs. Now, what is the profile of our face? Our profile of our face consists of seeing our whole human skeleton, in essence, like our skull, and understanding how our skull works with our body. Okay? Our human skull attaches at the back of our head where the spine is. So the spine is in the back of our neck, not in the middle. It doesn't magically become this. Right? There's no middle. We're not like a little peg. Our neck connects in the back. And then it connects to our body at an angle. So if we think about it like that, we have a really, really easy time coming up with where our neck is supposed to be. The thing is, we oftentimes are always considering that the head is a completely separate entity from the neck. But in all reality, it's not. They're attached. They're attached in the back, and they're attached in the front. It's very rare that you have such a big separation that it's completely separate elements. Most of your features will fall within the first third of your actual face shape, and your head space can be divided into threes as well. So if we think about it like this, we have a better understanding of how we can break down our profiles. This neck is really far back. A more realistic neck would be something along the lines of this, or a little bit smaller actually, would be like right there. So this would be a more realistic neck. That was just more for showing off what you're supposed to do. Spine, head space, neck. Okay, so if we think about it like that, it becomes a little bit simpler to be able to draw your features where you're supposed to. So let me grab a brand new pen because this black, super big nib one is not gonna cut it. Art supplies, where are you? Where did I put all my pens? No, that's sticky stuff. Art supplies, where are you? This one? This one has some, but it's not what I need. Where are my ballpoint pens? Huh. I got like 1,000 of them. And I put them all in one container, and now I can't find the container. Someone hijacked my pens inside my own home. How long has it passed since it started TikTok? No, about like 10 minutes. Anyways, let's continue with the big pen. Profiles. They tend to be a little bit more horizontal than vertical. So a little bit more. When you divide them into even something along the lines of this, the landmarks that you should keep in mind are the base of your nose, your eye socket, and your mouth. From here, all this space becomes where your brain would go. And then in the middle of that, comes your ear. And that becomes your jaw. Ta-da! So this is a very intuitive way to go about drawing your profiles. And all you have to do is make a... You just have to make a tic-tac-toe board. And you can have a face. So it's not really hard to understand them once you get the idea of what you're drawing, right? And then your spine is in the back. Your spine connects to your rib cage. And your rib cage has a collarbone, which is the front bones of your body, right? That middle part of your rib cage, there, right there, that is where you connect the neck in the front and in the ears. And ta-da! Now you have awesome profiles with necks and stuff. Woohoo! Congratulations! Dun, 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 dun. Let's get this. So now all you have to do is come up with different little face shapes in any style you want. And now you can make any drawing you want in a profile. You can even change the size of these to change the character shape to anything you require, from an old lady to a big buff dude. So it's just like a super intuitive way to do this. What was that? I heard a growl. I heard a growl inside my apartment. The fuck was that? It was Mustache's TV. Why would they have a random growl in a dog like anxiety dog thing? Like, why would they do that? That seems like a terrible thing to do for your dog. Like, what the fuck? Thumbs down video. Thumbs down. So, profiles are relatively easy once you understand this basic structure for your face. Why is it so easy? Because it just becomes a math equation, right? If we can visualize things in mathematical equations as well as visual, then it becomes really simple to be able to always land the mark wherever we want it. It's going to be relatively easy for you to draw anything into a face by simply doing that. Because now you have a face shape. Now this could be like, I don't know, a forehead line or some sort of like bump. But overall, we have the ability now to draw faces from absolutely any shape. Spine in the back, neck. It doesn't have to be complicated. It does not have to be hard. It does not have to be difficult. It does not have to be explained in a way that doesn't make sense. You can have fun learning all this garbage. Because foundations are not boring. Foundations are what make you be able to draw like you want to. But so many people don't really think about it like that, right? They just think about it in a, oh, well, I don't want to have to learn anatomy. I have my own style. I don't want to do this because of this. And then you're like, dude, like, you don't understand what you're saying. You're young. You probably don't understand the concept of having to build upon your foundations. It's fine. It happens. But please, for the love of God, stop thinking that you're going to be able to carry one style for the rest of your life. Jesus Christ, that's not going to happen. Like, I have had to change drastically how I create art in general several times over in my career so that I could actually keep up with what's popular, what's needed, what's trendy. You know, it's just not going to be a one-stop shop for the rest of your life. Like, if whatever you believe, it's not going to happen. You're going to need to be more versatile than that. How do you draw different types of shoes? Hey, you shared my live. Thank you so much. How about we try to get to like 10,000 likes? How about that? Before we continue, I'm going to take a little coffee break for a second. Let's get to 10,000 likes. Today's going to be a really good one. So this one's automatically going on YouTube because the face ones always do really good. So we're going to focus a lot more on just drawing through these little equations. And so you can see how cool it is to be able to change that up and get a completely different character type. You have now accessed the ability to draw anything, guys. Anything. You just have to be imaginative enough to be able to draw it. So now you have access to drawing. Remember, the spine. The spine is in the back. Connects to the rib cage. So depending on the size of your neck, that is how your neck connects. Okay? Don't forget that. At the back of your head, you have your spine. Right? Your spine is in the back of your body. Right? The back of your rib cage. That's where your spine comes. And then guess what? All you got to do is draw something in front of it. Anything in front of it. And that's a face. Ta-da! Because your neck is kind of like a little guidance system for your head. That is all you need to learn to draw so you can draw more effective heads. That's it. That's the concept that broke everything for me. Once I understood that, everything was easy. It was so simple. Like, it was just like, what the fuck, dude? Like, really? Like, I just never thought about the actual, like, rib cage. By drawing a circle, you have your front, draw a little circle, but you also have the back. The back gives you your spine. And then you can move that anywhere you want. Ta-da! Now you have access to drawing your necks so much better. You're welcome. Can you do a semi-profile? Struggling with nose and less eye, visible eye. Okay, so you want it to be a smaller eye, so a less visible eye? Semi-profile. I don't know what semi-profile, because semi-profile could be like a 3/4. So let's just do a very heavy 3/4. So like, I don't know, 5/8 or whatever it would be. Like right there. So we're gonna start with that. Now, let me show you how cool this method is. So most of the time, we are looking at this as a profile, right? And we see 3 parts. Boom, boom, boom. So let's take this midline as the edge of this section. So if this is the mid of this section, that's 0. Let's call that line 0. That's line 0. If you divide this again in 3, you have your 3 sections. So you have 1, 2, 3. And guess what? You do that same thing, but the other side. But you only see 1, because you only see 1 section. So now let's do our little division into 3. And we add our triangle at the base, and we fill this in with our shapes. Oh, wonderfully magical. How cool that is, huh? It's so cool. You get a whole human skull from the side, just as easy as we did the first one. Now, drawing all the features in 3/4 are going to be a little bit more difficult, because you have to draw your elements in perspective. Boop, boop, boop. Right? So you have to take your eyeballs and you have to change your hemispheres to match the 3/4 angle. For example, here, this side would be a lot thinner than this side, but that's a given immediately by having those spaces. You're not guessing how big they're supposed to be. It's already there. You don't have to guess. That's the beauty of what I teach. Okay? How I teach it is that you don't have to guess. You don't have to guess where anything's gonna go, right? You're gonna know where things are gonna go, and everything's gonna connect to something else in a way like a puzzle. That is what I bring to the table. Like, I don't leave anything to guessing. So that is what I love about the way that I like to teach. It's just everything has a purpose. Every line you draw has a meaning, right? So if you do this, this is meant to give you your ear. This is meant to give you your spacing for your front. This is meant to give you your spacing for your temples and your brain. This section, forehead, hairline, whatever you want to do with it. And then your eyeball would be something that you own. It's a sphere, right? Your eyeball is a sphere. So how much of the eyeball would I see from a 3/4 view? Well, the face is actually quite interesting. From the front, let's do this from the top, okay? Top view. Our face is not flat in the front. It really isn't. Our face tapers a little bit on each side, and then it goes into a flat section, which contains our nose bridge. So it actually has a little bit of a curvature to each side in the front. When you have something like ears and stuff like that, You don't really see that very basic component here, but you do get a little bit of a curvature. So your eyes aren't just completely aligned, completely straight. So what happens when you have a shape like that, but you have a shape like an eyeball inside? From, for example, the top view, you would only see a little bit of it with your eyebrows here, right? And your cheekbone. But if you're seeing it from the side, you're also going to have limitations. You're only going to see about half of the eyeball. So you only draw a little bit of the front of the eyeball by drawing kind of like this. But what you're doing is you're drawing only that section. Right? So this top part becomes your eyelid. The bottom part becomes your bottom eyelid. And then the top line that you draw here is your eyebrow. This is your cheekbones, temples, cheek line from your ear to your jaw, that would be your jaw. And then from here, you determine from the middle of your eye to the bottom of this third, that's normally where your nose would go. Your mouth is, again, kind of like the eye, but for this section. This section right here is kind of like a teardrop. Right? You see it like a teardrop from like a 3/4 view. You have your nose, right? So you have this little teardrop shape, kind of like it has a little roundness to it. So as long as you find one side, the front, and then the other side, you can draw 2 dots and do the same thing we did with the eye. Go from one to the other, from one to the other. And now you have yourself a mouth. Spine in the back into a rib cage. I want to do semi-realistic noses. Could you do one I could reference from the front? Well, how about I teach you how to build it so that you don't have to copy me? Okay, so let's draw some noses so you guys can understand how noses work in general from this concept on. So we talked a lot about profiles, but we haven't really talked about how the nose and everything like that works. Well, let's go into an actual face structure of a skeletal system and see what happens. So when you're actually drawing like a skeleton or something like that, you're going to have a couple components that are not necessarily very visible from the outside. You're going to end up having a couple little sections of your head that are going to be easily explained by just drawing them out. Okay. It's probably farther back, but whatever. This represents it enough. This is a basic human skull. Now, what you have here is the eye socket, the nose canal, the chin, and the jaw, as well as the cheekbone. Those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 components are the only things you really need to worry about knowing to be able to build really good faces. Now, how do we find all those in a simple way of sketching? Well, I already taught you guys how to do that. Boom, 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 boom. Circle, circle, circle. By doing that, you have access to all that information really quickly. At the base of this second part, you're going to have a little triangle from these 2 circles matching. From the front, that triangle would still be there as a midline. From there, all you have to do to draw a triangle like a nose is to draw a dot as far as you want your nose and connect all 3 points to it. That gives you the perspective that you need for your face. You can determine a downward angle, mid-angle. You can draw somebody looking down, really easy as well, by just indicating that perspective. Now, but how do you draw an actual nose from that? Well, let's go do it. Bum, bum, ba-dum, bum. You have a triangle. Let's say we want like a nice little normal nose, like a little slightly downward nose. We're going to draw a dot a little bit down. Connect all 3 dots. And now we have a little pyramid. Our eyes would actually be at the top of this line. This would be exactly where our eyeballs would be. At the bottom of this, we would have the ball of our nose, and then we would have the little wings to our nose on the side. Your nose canal, your nose bridge, can have 2 different ways of doing it. You can have it where it's nice and round and it doesn't have any edges to it, so it's nice and smooth. Or you can have your nose bridge where it's nice and defined. The sides are. So it could be round or it could be sharp, depending on how the person's face is. If a person has like, let's say like a broken nose or something like Wolverine or something like that, right? You wouldn't want to draw a really smooth nose. You would want to draw something with rigidity. But if you're drawing something along the lines of a really cute character, like, let me add the face. If you want to add something like a little cute character, you would not add that. You would have a nice little soft one. See what I mean? So you have to keep that in mind when you're going to be drawing a more stylized character. So in this case, I'm going to determine I want this to be the width of my nose bridge, and I just draw my nose bridge down to my ball of my nose. Okay. So now I have 2 little spheres, 1 little ball of my nose, and I have 2 sides. So that simplifies my drawing to something along the lines of this. And when you shade it and stuff like that, it becomes really easy to just target those little basic shapes. And once you learn a little bit more about anatomy, you'll be able to draw entire faces from it with no real big issues. So you'll be able to build your faces from absolutely every single body part. Like you won't have to wait, like always start with your heads or your mouths or your noses or whatever. Like you'll be able to eventually be able to draw from any body part and just build a whole body from there. Let's draw some more profiles. So a nose and a profile. Boom, boom, boom. So circle, circle, circle. There you go. I like that. Split that in half. Gives me my jaw. A nose from the side would literally be this. A little tiny triangle at the bottom of wherever I draw that first circle. At the intersection, that's where my eyes go. That's where my eyebrow comes back out. And it goes around that first circle. Whatever side of my nose I want to give it, I already have my cheekbone. I already have my cheekbone on the side, and I already have my chin. So I can start connecting lines, and I already have like an entire side of my face. So you don't have to complicate it. You don't have to overthink it, and you don't have to make it incredibly hard to be able to draw these things. You just have to start learning and unlearning the things that were taught to you in the ways that don't make sense to you. And when you do that, guess what? Things just miraculously become so much easier. And that is why we learn perspective and anatomy and stuff like that, guys. It's not to draw the perfect eyeballs and perfect things. It's to be able to learn where things go so that we can actually draw them. So whenever we focus too much on style, we lose track of how simple it is to just draw, let's say, a cylinder. And then using those guidelines to come up with your jaws and stuff like that, you can easily come up with a face structure really, really quickly. You have to unlearn a lot of the things that you were programmed to learn and draw like, because a lot of them were just regurgitated information from like books that were like set like for hundreds of years, right? People have learned a lot and developed a lot over the last couple hundred years in the world of design and drawing. So it's always good to look at new information and new ways that people have done this. How do you stay consistent with an OC's features? Okay, so I'm going to give you an example of what people do and how you can not do that. So if you're going to draw a character, let's say an OC, let's come up with one right now. Okay? If I wanted to be the most consistent with my character, I would keep everything with the rule of halves. What is that? Any feature that I draw in my character will split in half to make the character consistent. If I wanted to draw my face as this, my eyes will be at the middle. My mouth will be at the middle of that. My eyebrows will be at the middle in between the head. Everything will be in the middle of something else. For here, my head is going to be doubled, and creating a little beanbag. And now I have a body. From here, I'm going to take this and I'm going to double it. And I'm going to make my legs. So everything is consistently the same. If I keep everything in halves, I can have fun with this without having to worry about having like, oh, what proportions was that one? Everything gets split in half. Everything, all the way down. Even the arms, right? Even spacing, 1, 1. If I keep everything in halves, it's easy for me to maintain that structure. And that's going to be the case for characters that are like gigantic. If I keep everything in half, everything is easier to control. One ratio. And I can apply any styling that I want, but everything consistently at our half to half to half to half ratio. And you can do that with everything. You can do that down to the faces. You know, half, half, and consistently, you can start, even the mouth goes to half that section, right? But keep everything and learn how everything gets mapped out, and eventually you'll be able to use your other systems to be able to give that impression as well. Hey, Rod, all this lesson is for you, buddy. This is for you. So we're going to recap everything that we have been learning. All right? So, Mr. Wes, this whole lesson is for you, buddy. So we're going to go back to the beginning, and we're going to make sure that you have... I'll upload this to YouTube too, so that you guys can do like your... or I'll send you the files so you guys can do the first walkthrough with the tips and stuff. But anyways, dun, 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 let's go back to the beginning. So we discussed the rule of thirds and why it's important to keep consistent spacing between your shapes at first, right? Understanding your spacing on a basic shape before you start cartooning, before you start going into like super extremes and stuff like that. Before you start doing this, get used to a more standard basic shape, like a box, right? Try to draw things from a box. Start with the most simple concept first. Start with a box. Divide that in 3. Divide that in 3. This circle, draw a circle. This circle, draw a circle in the front. Don't make it more than like half of this, by the way. By doing this, check it out. What do you create? Oh, it kind of looks like a human skeleton. Ah! So now, understanding this is one thing. Now, we're going to use anatomy to understand that our neck is our spine. And it connects to the back of our head, right? Everybody agrees with that, right? Our spine is in the back of our head. Now, if it's in the back of our body, obviously there's volume to the front, right? Because it's our rib cage. It's volume to the front. So we already have our chin. We already have probably our ear is that second mark right there. So we have our ear. We close it off. And now guess what? All these little lines connect and they give you your neck. Really, really easy. Right? So let's go again. Box or boxish shape. Divide that into a checkerboard pattern. Draw a circle. At the tip of this, draw a little teardrop coming down. This has now given you a human skeleton again. Ba-ba-da-ba-da. And when you start adding features, you're gonna see it, right? Your ear goes in the middle of that circle, and it just connects to your jaw. The back of your head has your spine. Your spine is in the back of your head, and it connects to your rib cage with a little circle. Now, this guy has a massive neck. Bah. But you get the idea, how easy it is to do that. So the actual neck, again, would be kind of like right here. It wouldn't be that long. But I like to exaggerate it to show you guys how easy it is to manipulate that. So again, shape, split, circle, teardrop, circle. Oh, look at how easy that was. Oh, it's so hard to draw. Rod, it's so hard to do it. Spine. Spine in the back. Spine in the back. Rib cage to the front. Neck. Now, you can change the teardrop to be anything you want. You can change the teardrop to be a superhero dude if you want to, right? That's just your chin. So you get to decide whatever type of character you want. You want an old lady? Make that smaller. Right? Like there's the variety and the availability to like chase any single one of those shapes is incredible, but try to avoid doing it at first until you get the hang of drawing your spacing right. Because if you start exaggerating, you're going to get exaggerated faces. And when you exaggerate faces, you're drawing off of style. And you're not really going to be focusing too much on landing the things right. The style comes later. Don't worry. Spine. Spine in the back. To the rib cage in the front. Jawline, neck to the top of my ear, or bottom of my ear, and then from the front of my neck to the jawline, you draw the rest of your neck. Congratulations, you can draw necks. I love you, but sometimes you make me so angry, but from a place of love. Nah. Well, you got to consider this, Wes. Right now, it's hard for you to draw this. But imagine not having guidance. Imagine somebody not being able to help you to do that, right? To like talk to you and explain to you how you can like, go at it easier. That is unfortunately the path that I had to take. So it took me about 15 to 20 years to learn this stuff. It's gonna be a while before you master it. Getting frustrated, it doesn't help you. It just blocks you. And then it makes you revert back to drawing something that makes it look pretty as opposed to something that makes it look accurate. So it has to be something that you are okay understanding that it's gonna be a while before you're good at it. Because it's not magic. You still need to have that dexterity with your hands, that spacing, and that visualization of everything else. But eventually, this 1, 2, 3 rule just turns into a 1, 2, 3 rule with an extra section, with an extra one. Right? So when you start turning into from a profile to a 3/4, what is the only difference? You're only adding one more section. So if you have your face like this, you're going to have your face, this is going to be the middle. You're going to have your eyes. You're going to just shift everything a little bit, one more. And you have yourself a 3/4 face. And then from the front, it's the same, but it's super easy because it's only 2. Ta-da! So that is my opinion, the easiest way to break down the face so that you don't have to worry about trying to figure out how to draw it in every single... Yeah. There's a fire drill and my alarms are going off in my apartment building. It's nothing to be worried about. They just do these random ones. Or the building's on fire and then I'll just be dead. But I don't feel any heat, so it's okay. So yeah, understanding, hence the shape exercises you always suggest. Yeah. So what I suggest all the time is to teach you guys how to draw something through your shapes, right? Like learning how to draw the front and the back of your shapes by simply having like a happy face and then mapping the front and then maybe giving like a tail or something for the back so you can understand how you're drawing that. How a direct front and back shape are affected in a simple concept, right? Understanding how that works and how to draw through your shapes also gives you access to learning how, let's say, the two ears and your chin work, right? You just draw through your shape and you figure out those angles. But so many people skip on those exercises and then they have a really hard time drawing these angles because it's just really hard normally. So when you skip on those exercises, you're making it harder on yourself to understand how to draw anything you want. Because that's the trick. That's why you learn perspective and anatomy. Yeah, there's an alarm in the background. Ignore the alarm in the background. It does not concern my safety. I'm okay. Am I the only one who's here for the fire alarm? Hey, hold on. It's not the bass line, Milky. Get out of here. He's Mexican. Start with shapes to learn perspective. Well, first you got to understand if you're going to be drawing your face in like different angles and stuff like that, right? If you wanted to learn how to draw your face in like completely different angles, you got to start by understanding how your face actually works. You need to learn how to draw through your shape so that you can actually bend things in space without having to guess where things go. By drawing things in different perspectives, like boxes and stuff like that, it helps you understand these things a little bit better, right? Knowing how to draw things in different angles is very important as a comic book artist, storyboard artist, whatever you feel like you're going to want to do with your career. Being able to draw these angles is very important. So understanding how your jawline and everything like that works with your head is very, very, very important. This is essentially the breakdown of the human structure. And you can apply that concept into any character shape that you feel like. This could be a big buff dude. This could be a pinup girl. This can be anything I want because I understand it. Since I understand it, I can modify it. And since I can modify it, I can stylize it. And if I can stylize it, it's because I have imagination, right? So once you find out these little secrets, or whatever you want to call them, mapping points, guidelines, lessons, whatever, you're unstoppable. You don't have limits anymore. You don't have limitations. You can go and create a whole character design portfolio in a week, right? If you need to customize your portfolio for a company, you will be able to do it in 10 days. Because it becomes easy. When you're not guessing and it doesn't take you like 6 months to draw something decent, then you have the ability to create concepts that you maybe not didn't think you were going to be able to ever be able to do. And as you get better, you're going to be able to do like people sketching in public, and you're going to be able to draw people drinking their, like, I don't know, their strawberry frappuccinos and stuff really, really easy. And you won't be like hindered by, oh, where does this go? Where does that go? That is the most annoying part of drawing. It's me incognito. I put on a wig so I could go drink my frappuccino in peace without being judged. The voices are gone. What's the song? Doodle, 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 doodle with Ron. Come on, let's go. Come on, let's go. Doodle, 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 doodle with Ron. Come on, let's draw. Come on, let's draw. I already have a theme song, but it's really it kind of like reminds me of like Sesame Street stuff. So I might have to come up with a couple more. You had music playing and you thought it was TikTok. That, my friend, is funny. So eventually, you'll be able to manipulate the shapes to anything you want, right? You'll be able to make like super small, advanced like alterations to these, and you'll be able to start exaggerating them beyond what they have in front of you. And that's when you can have a lot of fun having things like references for like super villains and stuff like that. Superheroes, all that stuff becomes really, really fun. Because now you can literally break down all your favorite characters into shapes like this. And you would be able to draw them to your heart's content. If it's not an alarm, it's puppies, dude. I swear to God. All right, so can you draw, man? No, we're not drawing that right now. We're just drawing proportions, and we're talking about profiles. So profiles, wider than taller. Okay? Divide into threes. Within the first third, that's where your first section would have your eyes, your nose, your mouth, your eyebrows. All that stuff falls within the first third. The second third is the spacing for your temples. And it normally has a little bit like your hairline or whatever. On the third line, you have your ear. From here to your chin, whichever way, your chin can have an extra shape to make it look whatever way you need it, okay? Your chin has the ability to have different shapes and stuff. So you have the ability to morph that into anything you want. In this case, we'll just keep it nice and simple and call that the chin. From the bottom of the ear to the chin, we connect the lines. Ooh, now we have a jaw. Woohoo! Now, this little intersection right here, in between the circle and the other circle, create a little triangle. Okay? That triangle has a top and a bottom. The bottom of your nose, the top of your nose. Draw the shape. Ba-da! Ooh, so hard. Ooh, so hard. The mouth goes up to this limitation because this is your cheek, right? and it goes around your mouth. So you have your muzzle, which is your teeth line, and then you have two endpoints on both sides of that. But this is curvy, so you have to curve it around. Curve it around your teeth. And that is how your mouth works. Your mouth curves around this shape. Boop, boop. Toot, toot. Okay? Imagine that little teardrop is like your teeth. That's your teeth. And then what you're drawing around is your mouth. Because that's what you're drawing. You're drawing your skeleton, and then you're drawing your things on top of your skeleton. So when you're drawing a human skeleton real fast, you draw a triangle, two circles, a teardrop, and a circle for the edge. Okay? By having that, you have a nice basic human skeleton. Da, 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 da. This is a little shifted, but fuck it, who cares? We have our jawline. So now, if I added basic elements like eyeballs, a nose, top, bottom, boop, and then I start adding things like a mouth, wrapping around my teeth, I start getting some personality to my dude. See what I mean? So let's try it again. We'll start with, I don't know, that shape. Circle inside to come up with the front and the back of my shape. Draw a triangle inside. Follow the guidelines for the triangle up to come up with my eyebrows. Follow the triangle up, eyebrows, around cheekbone, down, teardrop. At the same height of this, up, I draw a circle, and that comes up with the side of my face. At the middle of this, I have my ear. Ba-ba. From the ear to my chin, that's my jawline. On this side, you wouldn't see the jawline because I'm in a 3/4 view. The jawline would actually technically go down this way to my other ear. What you see here is your cheekbone and your cheek into your chin. And on this side, you see your jaw. A lot of people draw the jawline in a 3/4, and they draw the jawline coming out like that. It doesn't always do that unless the character has a massive cheekbones. Like massive cheekbones. So unless the character has that, it doesn't really do that. Do you take on clients? I very rarely take on clients nowadays, but unless it's something interesting for me. Like, unless I'm getting something out of it, like, unless I'm actually benefiting from me doing work for you, I don't want to do it. Like, if your goal is just to pay me, like, a little amount of money to do something because you want a deal, I don't do that. So, unless it's really interesting to me and it's enticing to me, like if there's a benefit for me to do it, yeah, I'll take it on. I always love expanding my business, but unless that's the case, I don't want to just help you fulfill your project. I don't want to just help clients be rich and then that's it. I don't do that anymore. I did that for a lot of years. And you know where it led me? To absolutely nowhere. So I don't do that anymore. So unless it's beneficial for me in some way or another, royalties, commissions, whatever, great. If not, don't even bother because I won't even consider it. Let's see, that seems like a person's under the water here. Anyways, I believe that will be the end of this stream. I'll restart the video. I'll restart the stream just so that we can keep drawing because I want to draw one more page. But I want to end it here so that I have the video set for YouTube and stuff like that, and I can upload it right away so I don't forget. Anyways, have a wonderful day, everybody. If you guys want to keep drawing with me, I will start the stream over again, but this will be in seclusion for YouTube. So, talk to you guys later. Well, in a couple of seconds if you guys are still here, and I'll see you guys in a bit.